So in our previous office hours, we had shown all of you a preview of Facets UI 2.0, and it's finally here. And we wanted to host a long live demo to show you all the new and exciting features that we've built out. Um, yeah, so this has been over a month of hard work by the entire team. After multiple user interviews, feedback sessions, beta testing sessions, we are really excited to have our launch today. And yes, let's get started. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to keep on engaging with the chat. We'll actively reply there and have a couple of minutes towards the end of the session for a discussion as well. Yeah. So just to quickly introduce our speakers, we have Anuj from the engineering team and Manan and myself from the product team itself. Yes. And for the new features that we have launched, so there's a lot of features that we've just condensed and we're calling it Facets UI 2.0. So that would be our main highlight. And one additional feature for your for scheduled IAC upgrades, which would be the maintenance window as well. Yeah. So just to give you a quick walkthrough of our philosophy behind Facets UI 2.0, right? So the major one would be quicker access to your daily features, right? So after multiple user interviews and just feedback and beta testing sessions, we understood that the resource center and releases are two of the most commonly used in Facets. So we wanted to ensure that you always have quick access to these. And the next would be across the platform. The user flows are more self-serve now, so that your users or your new engineers or new team members in the team wouldn't need a lot of hand holding, but they would be able to use the product with much more ease, so that you don't have a lot of run books to use Facets. Rather, using Facets would be much more intuitive, right? Now you can also configure your resources through forms. So earlier we had JSON support as well, and you still do for your advanced use cases. But now your developers and anybody, your team can configure your resources through forms. Besides this, something that we've kept a constant for the entire the new UI is your workflows are now unified, and you can see that there is a lot of uniformity across pages, right? So this helps in your navigation and having more context while you navigate the entire platform itself. Yep. So over to you, Manan, to walk us through what's new in Facets UI 2.0.
So, as Adi mentioned, we have done a few revamps and made user journeys, keeping in mind that users will, based on the feedback that we had got, we figured out that there were multiple pages where there were multiple clicks required for users to navigate through those pages. And then there were some pages that were not so intuitive. So we have made those changes. Uh, I'll just go through all the brief about the changes that we have done. So one is the creation flow for the environment included giving all the information about the settings that one has to do while launching the environment. So we have sort of revamped and uh, made a cleaner view of launching the environment, as well as there were multiple places where users could change the environment settings. So we have all unified that particular uh, pages and made an environment settings page with all the segregations where users can easily understand what settings they are changing. Apart from that, we have sort of made the resources configurations page unified, where one can come and configure the resources from one single place through intuitive forms. Earlier there was JSON support for that, but now we have forms that we have supported for that. As well as for making any changes in the environment, doing overrides for those configurations was a hassle earlier, which we have sort of brought it in one place, and users can quickly change the environment context and make those changes in the forms itself to make the overrides. As well as there is one page where one can attach, promote, or update their images for the services across environments. We have made a revamp for that as well. Also, we received a feedback that there was a lot of hassle to change the secrets and variables for environments. So there is one unified place where all the environments secrets and variables can be changed, and the CI rules and promotion workflow pages have been unified as well. So all of these changes, we'll quickly have a demo for them. Adi, maybe we can start with the demo.
Yes, thanks, Manan, for giving us an overview of what we can expect in this demo. Yep. So over to our feature demos. So we'll be walking you through live demos of how the new UI looks like. So let's get started. Yep. So as you can see, we have our sandbox here that we're going to share with you guys. So this is going to be very similar to your current control plane. So this is how the old UI of Facets 1.0 look like. And to switch over to the new UI, you can click here and you can click confirm. You can always switch back to the old UI. And yes, so right now you're not blocked from accessing your old UI. You can switch between this. So this would be early access for you guys, and we are looking to improve the new UI with your feedback, right? Yep. Yep. So now, as you can see, we are on the project space. So introducing projects. So projects, blueprints going forward will now be known as projects for better reference across your teams and just easier naming, right? So let's go into one of the projects. So inside a project, you can see that the designer is now known as Blueprint. So the Blueprint is an entire map of your architecture, and you can also add your resources from the side panel from here as well. So besides this, as we were mentioning earlier, one of the core philosophies was you to manage your daily workflows with much more ease. So we've brought the resource center and the releases to a project level. And both of these you can access across multiple environments from here itself. Besides that, all your settings related to your project, you can access from the project settings. So now we can look into how you can launch new environments. Yeah. So earlier, creating and launching your environment was a two different step process. Now we've sort of made it we've made it much more intuitive so that you can do it through an assisted wizard. So you have an overview of all your steps that you need to launch your environment, which is connecting your cloud, setting up your network, your Kubernetes, and then reviewing what is required, right? So let's just quickly look into this. So you can connect which cloud you want to link. You can either you can use your existing infra or choose new based on your cloud. Setting up your network, you can create a new VPC or choose existing, and then you can choose your requirements based on which region, how many, which AZs you want to choose, and your CIDR range and time zones as well. This is contextual, and you can choose it based on your requirements. And then comes the Kubernetes setup. So you can always choose between on-demand and spot instances based on your compute requirements. You can edit your root volume or max nodes. These are just defaults that we've added. You can always change them from here as well. And besides this, you can also choose your instance type. So based on your availability and your compute requirements, you can change this based on what sort of pricing you would need and how what sort of environment you're looking to run, if it's prod, if it's dev, or if it's QA, right? So we constantly keep updating the prices of this, and you can refer this before launching environments itself. Post which you can review your secrets and variables, and you can review which resources you would need for this environment, and then you can click on launch. Yep, as you can see, the environment launch has been triggered, and now we can see that the release is active. So let's just quickly go into our environment. And now you can see that you can see the entire overview of your environment from here, right? From your cluster details to your release stats, what your recent release looks like, if there are any alerts triggered, what the resources that are enabled are, and if there are any public facing URLs, you can see them once they launch over here. Besides this, you can also see the general config of the environment here itself. Now let us look into how you can configure and your environment, right? So you can always configure them. So we set the your instance type earlier. You can always feel free, come here and feel free to change that. You can set um, schedules for your environment if they're developer environments, or based on your business use case, you can choose to scale or scale down them frequently, either on weekends, or if you want to launch or destroy based on a particular time, you can schedule that as well. So we support daily and weekly frequencies for the same. Yep. And on the releases tab, you can set release schedules. You can manage your IAC version, and if you want to go into some advanced use cases like managing the release part in the CPU and memory, you can edit that from here as well. And the maintenance window we will look into in our later part of the webinar. And here is the advanced cluster settings for your Kubernetes cluster, right? So from enabling default node pools, your root volume max nodes, enabling dedicated node pools, or based on your requirement for your cluster and which cloud you are using, you can modify your cluster settings from here itself, right? And if you want to enable a VPN, you can do that from here again. And if you want to destroy or delete your environment, you can come over to the danger zone where you can first destroy your environment and then proceed to delete the environment itself. This is earlier available on the list of environments page. We've moved it inside because this is won't be a regular activity for you all, and since it's highly sensitive, we wanted to sort of put it in a secure place. Yes. Yep. So over to you, Manan. Yeah.
So I'll talk about how we have made the configuration of resources easier. As Adi mentioned that the blueprint canvas, the designer is now called as blueprint, and one can add resources from this side panel. All the available resources can be seen over here. Now, for configuring the resources, earlier we had a JSON support, but now we have the entire, apart from the JSON mode, for some resources, we have form mode as well that supported. Uh, Yes. So for some resources, we have form modes that supported, uh, and the JSON mode is also there. In form mode, one can so for each resource we have customized forms for one to easily configure the resources. For example, I have opened a service resource, and over here I can easily configure my ports, the size that I want to allocate, the health checks, the auto scaling, and so on. And we also have the add-ons that can be added with this particular resource. So for example, if I want to enable a service monitoring for this resource, I can add that over here. Currently it's already added. And the environment variable section will list down all the environment variables that are part of this particular resource. So if I want to add more environment variables for this particular resource, I can do it from here. This part is basically if I want to connect my resource or dollar reference any resource to this particular resource, I can do it from here. Or else I can choose to set my project level like aliasing from here, or introduce a resource variable for this particular resource from here. And in danger zone, one can delete the resource from here, and the documentation for this entire spec or the configuration form has been provided. So if I don't understand, or if I want to see how do I configure these, one can refer to the documentation and do that as well. Now, like this is all about the configurations tab for that particular resource. But when I come to the overview of it, I can see which resources are connected to this particular resource, and also a combined view of what is the status of this particular resource across all the environments that are there. And if there is any release that is that pending for this particular resource, I have a quick and easy way to make a release from here only in this particular environment for this particular resource. Also, making overrides for a particular environment has become easier. So if I choose any environment, and I can just, let's say for GCP intradev, I want to change the value for my CPU from 300 millicores, which is my default value, to something else. I can do that and then save the changes. So for that particular environment, my overrides can be done. And I can view all the overrides across environments that are done for this particular resource from here. So editing and viewing of all the overrides is under override section. Configuration of the resource for at the blueprint level or at the project level can be done from here. And a quick overview for that particular resource can be viewed from here. And some actions can be taken accordingly from this environment stable page. Now, talking about the overrides in secrets and variables, this page has been kept as is, which is basically defining secrets and variables at the project level. But now, if I want to edit any value for a particular environment, I can, instead of me navigating to that environment and going to secrets and variables like it is, like it was earlier, now I just have to select my environment from here, and I can change the value of any particular secrets or variables from here and save the changes. And similarly, in resource center, as Adi mentioned earlier, one had to, for viewing any resource for a particular environment, one had to navigate to environments and then to resource center and then select a particular resource. One can now come to resource center and uh, select the environment basically. And then let's say I want to view this particular deployed, this is an enabled resource in this particular environment. So if I want to have a quick view of what is going on in this deployed resource, I can view it from here. So earlier, all the resource center used to have, for a particular resource, it used to have multiple tabs, including Kubernetes and monitoring dashboards and ingress overview, which is all now combined in a central view that we are providing over here, which becomes very easy for a user to sort of have a quick access to all the information that is there for this particular resource. So if I want to see my Terraform outputs or copy any of these values, I can do it from here. If I want to check my dashboards that are there, monitoring dashboards, I can quickly access them from here. And similarly, all the other information that is related to if my pods are running or not, or similarly all the stateful sets and everything that is going on in the deployed resource. Also, I can have a quick view of what is the release history of this particular resource in that environment. I can have a quick view for that from here. So these are some major changes that we have done for keeping in mind that all the users won't have to do multiple clicks for their particular use case, and it should be very easy for one to sort of access any particular thing or make any changes accordingly. uh, Maybe Anuj, now you can start with all the changes we have done for CI/CD and images.
Right, I'll cover the CI/CD aspect. So that has been changed a bit. So right till now, we were used to the CI integrations page and the corresponding CI rules and promotion workflows page. So now we have moved that information firstly to the project settings. So the promotion workflow and the CI rules that has been moved to the project settings. So this is a brand new created project. And if you go to the CI/CD, it first asks you for your CI/CD strategy. Uh, so let's say if you just have a CI rule and each of your branches is mapped to a single environment. So let's say I open this. I have three environments in my project that I've created earlier. So let's say I want my develop branch to go to dev. Uh, prod is I want my production branch. And I want my master branch, let's say, to go to QA. So if this is my branching structure, I can use this one. Similarly, single branch promotion is you first push an image from your particular branch using your CI pipeline to your first environment, let's say dev environment, and then you make a promotion workflow. So I'll move these up because QA is a lower environment. And let's say if I push it to develop, it goes to dev, then I promote it, it goes to QA, then I promote it, it goes to prod. This is my workflow, then I use this flow. And anything else, I can use this one. So if you want to use release streams are groups of environments of the same stream. Let's say you have three dev environments, and for all three of those, you want the same image to be pushed. You can use a release stream based structure. Similarly, if you have multiple prod environments, same case. So the CI rules are this one. Do you want to map any Git branch to an environment? So if you say yes, and let's say I want develop to be mapped to my dev environment. And do you want to promote artifacts from one environment to another? So this would be the later stages. Let's say I add another rule here and I say that my QA branch should go to my QA environment. Or let's say master branch should go to my QA environment to make it clearer. And now I make a promotion workflow. I say that my promotion workflow is that it goes from QA to prod. So what my structure is that I have initially when I write some code, I push it to develop and it goes to my dev environment. Now I'm do let's say a tag cut or something like that, and I push my code to master. Then it goes to the QA environment. We test it there, and once it is tested, we have a promotion workflow to simply promote it to the prod environment. So this is how it would look like in the edit flow. And once we save it, you'll be able to see it here. Develop goes to dev, then master goes to QA, and then we promote it and goes to prod. So this setting, we have done it at the project level itself. So if let's say if we have 10 services for this project, for all 10 of the services, we'll have the same CI/CD flow. Yeah. Now let's go into the service, and we have an images tab here. So this information will be specific to this office hours service. We have two settings here. You can either use the CI/CD workflow that we just set at the project level, the one that we just configured, or if you want to manually attach images or artifacts to the service in all the environments. So let's say you don't want a branching strategy or a promotion workflow to be used. You want to specify at the time of your CI pipeline that I want this image to go to this environment. So you use this flow. Let's use this one for now. You can see that the image has changed, the graph has changed. So this is the one that we configured at the project level, and it is visible here. Now attaching the image, you can either do it from the UI as a part of testing. So you put your URL here and set the value, or you have a container registry, and we provide dropdowns for the repository and tag by querying the APIs of your container registry. So if you want to do that, you can do it from here itself. But typically on production, you will have a CI pipeline. So once you have that, uh, you can use these commands as it is to push your images to facets. So first you select your container registry. Let's say I have my personal container registry here. And you need to add these lines to your CI pipeline. Now there can be two cases. Either you already have a running CI pipeline and you want uh, your images just to be registered as two facets. The pushing of images to your container registry you have already handled. If that is the case, then you will use push image as false. But if you are making a brand new CI pipeline, you will just set this as true. It just edits this uh, image push flag as true. Uh, so yeah, you just need to copy these two commands and paste them in your CI pipeline. It should work out of the box. Optionally, you can put your git ref manually if you need. Otherwise, our script handles for GitHub Actions and Bitbucket pipelines. For all those cases, it handles getting the git ref automatically. Yeah, I'll briefly go over the table view. So this is the view that you are used to if you have been using the old version of Facets. Here the image and all will be visible, extra information, the external ID and all that that you have selected. Yeah, uh, that is it for CI pipelines. I'll go over the container registry linking flow as well. Yeah, so initially we used to have just values filling. So you just put your value of a container registry URL, username and password, and uh, it should be correct is what we assume. But we have made the flow a bit simpler for ECR, ACR, and GR. So for these corresponds to AWS, Azure, and GCP. So for all these three, you just put your registry name that you want. Let's say I say ECR office hours. So this is just the name. And you have this command that you need to go to your AWS Cloud Shell and run it there. And the script will handle the everything that is needed to create a container registry. And for ECR, when you push the image for the first time, let's say you enable pushing image, we create a repo for you if that is needed using the facet CTL command. Yeah, you run this in your AWS console. Once it is completed, it will be automatically linked here. The similar structure you'll be able to see in Azure and GR. So both of them are similar. And this flow, you would be used to it if you have recently linked a cloud account because we changed the cloud account linking flow as well, and it is identical to that. So even there, you run this similar command in your Cloud Shell, and the linking will complete it. Yeah, what else do we have? Yeah, so that is it for our new UI. Maintenance window is a new small feature that we have added. So if you have been with Facets for a long time, you would have noticed our IAC version upgrades going on, our infra team handling that. So some part of it, we have tried to automate it here. Maintenance window is a weekly time period that you schedule here. By default, it is set to Saturday, 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. Based on the time zone of your environment. This is configured in the environment setting. So for each environment, you have a separate maintenance window that you have. So what it would do is that during that period, we would run our pending migration scripts in our whenever we upgrade our IAC versions. So let's say you do not do full releases, you just do selective releases in your environments. We still would need to run the IAC scripts at some time, right? So that would be done here, and it would be done automatically. That there is no involvement of our users here, and this is just to automate our IAC upgrades and the migration scripts that we run during that period. Yeah, so we recommend you to set this to a time period when your developers aren't working so that it doesn't stop their work. So we have chosen a similar time for that, 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. for Saturday. Yeah. I think that covers everything.
Okay. So I think we've gone over a brief of how you can configure and manage resources, overrides, how you can monitor your resource logs and status through the Live tab, how you can edit your secrets and variables across environments, and how they're available at the projects as well. how CI/CD workflow has been unified and how you can set it based on your organizational requirements. Um, attaching your images to your service across environments, and how the new way of how you can actually link your container registries. Besides this, maintenance window is a new feature, and we would be launching it only for our new UI. And yep, on that note, we'd also like to conclude our session here. And yes, until next time,